It is 5 o'clock on October 15th, 2025, and I'm calling to order the Northpoint Charter School Governance Council. Can I get a roll call, please?
Debbie Jensen.
Here.
Eileen Johnson.
Here.
Anthony Padilla.
Here.
Lisa Berenberg. Here.
And yeah, Elise said she would be out. So we have to say Elise and note that she's out,
Elise.
I think. Yeah.
Okay. Elise Hodges.
And yeah, she's out. Okay. All right. Would everyone join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Did anyone have any changes they wanted to make to the agenda? All right, hearing none, can I get a motion to adopt the agenda as presented?
This is Deborah Jensen. I'll make a motion to adopt the agenda as presented.
Thank you. Can I get a second?
This is Anthony. I second the motion.
Thank you. And a vote?
Hang on one second. I have to take notes. Let's see. This is a vote to adopt the agenda as is. Debbie Jensen.
Aye.
Eileen Johnson.
Aye.
Anthony Padilla.
Aye.
Lisa Berenberg. Aye.
Thank you. Motion passed. All right, and public comment. We are seeking stakeholder input for the 25-26 attendance improvement plan and Black education plan. Seeing no members of the members of the public present, we'll move on to the consent agenda. Did anyone have any changes that they wanted to make to the meeting minutes? All right, hearing none, could I get a motion? Oh, sorry.
No.
Anthony, did you have one? Okay.
No.
All right, hearing none, could I get a motion to approve the consent agenda, which is the minutes, the bar, which is an operational transfer, the check register, and the bank reconciliation?
This is Anthony. I make a motion to approve the minutes for meeting September the 17th. The finance, the bar 531-002526, the check registry, and the bank reconciliation.
Thank you. Can I get a second?
This is Deborah Jensen. I'll second that.
Wonderful. And a vote?
This is a vote on accepting the consent agenda as is. Debbie Jensen.
Aye.
Eileen Johnson.
Aye.
Anthony Padilla.
Aye.
And Lisa Berenberg. Aye.
All right, financial management. So the finance committee met before this. We reviewed the finance packet, including the bar, and we discussed about a quote that Lisa's getting for the bathroom remodel, so we can use the funds, the grant funds. Talked about some new computers for the staff because it was time. And gosh, am I missing anything? I think that was it.
Yeah.
Okay. Marie, do you want to give the business manager report?
Good evening, everyone. Nice to see you. Happy October 15th. It's already October 15th, wasn't it? Just like the first, like yesterday. Anyway, we just start moving along in the business office with audit questions, which will be covered later. And there were no major concerns in the finance committee meeting. So if I stand for any questions from any of the members, but as far as we're just moving along.
Good. All right, and an audit committee update.
Yes, we met last week? No,
Yeah.
I can't remember.
Yeah, I think
Recently.
it was last week.
With that as an audit committee, and things are moving along as scheduled and planned, and nothing out of the ordinary to report.
Great. All right, Marie, you're free to leave whenever you want to. Bye.
Thank you all. I appreciate it. Thank you. Have a good night.
Thanks.
Right.
Too. All right, academic performance, the executive director report. Hi, Lisa.
Good evening, everyone. Okay, enrollment, we are holding steady as to where we were last year. Current enrollment as of today is 144, with another student pending enrollment. Last month, we reported 143, and our 40-day count last year was 144. So we're holding steady there. For recruitment, I have a meet with McKee every couple of weeks, and they've reported for our Q3 traffic, which is July through September, that we had less traffic than anticipated, but a higher conversion rate than they believed would happen. And they count a conversion as someone that clicks into the student application. We've done some looking, and we enrolled 55 new students this year. 63 brand new students, not returning, of course, 63 brand new students completed registration. But since 8 of those students either never attended, they completed registration, but then changed their mind before school started, and then we've had a couple that transferred out. As examples, one returned to homeschool. One student didn't attend and was reported as a runaway. And then we've had 5 students that transferred out to another school. The website has been live now for a full year as Northpoint Charter, which gives us true year-over-year comparison. As before, when the website was shared with the other school, it of course skewed the traffic that we see. And McKee is very encouraged because we're up in views across nearly every area, including 104% increase in the student application page. So we're making progress there. The paid search overview, we've been doing the Google ads and Facebook ads for a little while now, and site traffic suggests, in their words, an engaged, high intent audience. So they're seeing people that are clicking and are going straight to some of the more high traffic pages, like the student application page or the STEM page. There's growth on the ad landing page, the apply now page, and the schedule a tour page. And in September, oh, sorry, I skipped one. They're also noting strong brand awareness. Northpoint searches are now outpacing searches for the old school name by a significant margin, and so that's exciting. In September, we held 17 tours. 3 of those tours were for 9th graders for next year. So they were parents that their kids are in 8th grade, they're looking ahead, which is really exciting to see. 7, so that leaves 14 tours that were eligible to enroll now. 7 of those students have enrolled, which is giving us about a 50% conversion rate, which is pretty good. The school choice fair has recently been announced to be on Saturday, January 24th. I have already signed us up to attend, and we'll be following that up with an open house, either the January 31st or February 7th, which will be a Saturday, and it'll be the Saturday following the school choice fair, so that we can have flyers inviting families that come to the school choice fair and have an open house already planned, and here's your invite. And we're still working out details for what that will look like. But we know that those seats will be set so that it's a quick follow-up to the school choice fair.
You need help with the school choice fair?
I was
or
gonna
how
ask the
does it
same
go
thing.
for?
Who
Yeah.
mans the booth, and how long is it for, and do you need help and things like that? Yes.
First of all, thank you. I do have one staff member who's fantastic and has already committed to be there. And I'm sure I will be able to have another staff member attend. I usually offer them a small stipend for their time to be there on a Saturday. It's from 11 to 2. This
Oh.
year, it's going to be held at the, I think the sub ballroom. It's in a different location than it has been in years past. So it's at UNM, I think, in the sub ballroom. Board members are always welcome. If you'd like to come and have the time to dedicate and want to come talk to families, you're absolutely welcome. But we'll have some things out. Like I said, we're still working out some details on what it would look like, but we'll get some promotional materials together and invites to the open house. And, we'd love to see some traction there. We do have one student I know of off the top of my head that enrolled as a direct result of the school choice fair last year.
How well attended are those fairs?
Better and better attended. It's citywide. It does any kind of non-public, I don't want to say non-public, an alternative type school. It's charter schools, it's private schools, and they have higher and higher attendance every year.
Hey, I don't know if this is the place to say this, but we had talked last month about maybe like a pass along card or something that people have with like the names of some of the offerings that the school has and certifications and things. You said you were going to talk to McKee Walwork about that. I don't know if you had a chance, and I'm wondering, because I was reminded of that again, because I was talking to a mother who's very dissatisfied with her elementary school experience. So it'll be a few years, but I mentioned this, Northpoint to her. It won't apply because the student would be going to the 6th grade, but I was thinking, I was just reminded again that it would be very nice to have just a little business card size pass along card with the name of the school, the logo, and some of the things that are offered. It would be easier than saying these things I could memorize them, but then it's a lot of information to take in for a person that you're just engaging in a casual conversation with, and then they might I have a hard enough time remembering all of the offerings, and I'm involved with the board and have been for a long time. So I think it would be really nice to have a hard copy of some sort to hand off to people that they could refer to. And maybe they might not give it much thought while you're talking to them, but they take the card, and if they're getting ready to throw it away, they might look at it again and say, hold it, this might be interesting.
Yes, you're right. We did talk about that. I visited with McKee about the certifications in particular, and they are in the process of creating an article and a web page that highlights those certifications. They interviewed Ms. Dixon, of course, the Smart Lab facilitator, high interest with the drone program, especially, and then some of those other certifications they can earn. And in doing so, I neglected to ask her about the card. But I meet with Molly on Friday, and I'll bring it up so that they can create something for us that can be handed out.
Well, it could be, it could be handed out at the
Yeah.
fair. I don't know if that would be, I don't know if that's just me. Others can chime
No,
in.
I think it's a
For me,
great idea.
it would be nice.
Especially if there was a little like
QR code.
little pocket thing, or and a QR code that you could put it in your purse so it wouldn't get destroyed, right? And you could
Yeah.
like pull it out and hand somebody, and each of the board members and maybe teachers could all have like 7 cards or 5 cards or something. It doesn't have to be a lot, you can always just come get more, but business card size, maybe 1 or 2 sides. Yeah.
I loved the idea too. We just got bogged up in how we could add that to the website and possibly to some of the ads that we're running. And I neglected to ask about the card. So thank you for the reminder. I wrote it down, and I'll make sure.
Well, I'm forgetting about the drone thing, and that was one of the exciting things I wish I had in my brain
Right?
to talk to somebody about, but I forgot about it. So
Okay.
So how does the booth look? I'm the K through 12 STEM coordinator at my company, and I support all of the high school career fairs, and we have like tablecloth, and we have big posters of rockets and satellites, and we have all our swag up out, pens and papers and notebooks and water bottles and a whole bunch of other stuff. Is that how this looks? You guys have like a tablecloth that says Northpoint, and then you have like, do you have big pictures? Because like I saw the email with all the cool pictures of the kids. You know, the first one with the certificate, right? Got her, and then maybe if you've got some people flying drones or some pictures of the smart lab and of the 3D printer
I
and
don't
stuff.
know. Can you see this?
Yes, that was very cool.
Can
Oh
you see
yeah,
this,
okay,
Lisa?
I see. Yes, okay, so perfect. You guys are all set up and you've
Yeah.
got all kinds of cool stuff. Okay, good.
We
And
have
then
water
Yeah.
bottles, and we have a branded tablecloth, and we have a collapsible banner that we can put up behind us.
Yeah.
And then
And
we
then-
have a variety of small things that have been printed, like in the 3D printers.
Uh-huh.
We'll bring one of the business card holders that we could put those business cards we're
Business
talking
cards.
about, that was
Yep.
printed on the laser engraver. And like Denise has a dragon and some, like it's a flexible dragon that moves. It's so cool. And it was done on the 3D printers. And we'll have a few things like that available. We get a 6-foot table with a
Yeah.
couple of chairs. And
Yeah.
so it's a small space, but we of course have some candy out. We'll have flyers for the open house and some other items that are eye-catching that might draw people over. Hey, what is that?
Right.
Lisa
Perfect.
Mora,
Okay.
I just texted that picture back to you, so it's back at the bottom of your text messages. You could probably send that to Lisa Berenberg just so she can, zoom in and stuff if you
Okay, I will.
want. Okay.
And then what we've been doing is, because all the kids have them, is what we also give a yearly scholarship. And we're trying to get people to apply to it. And so we have just a big QR code that takes them to our scholarship page. But if you want, big QR codes that take them straight to Northpoint too. A lot of people just go around collecting the QR codes without having to worry about a piece of paper. Though I was shocked at how many kids also like to take the piece of paper. So I would never, ever get rid of paper, because there's still plenty of people that like to take paper.
Yeah.
So
We also
then-
normally have a sign-up list for people that would like to come in for a tour, that we then send them a follow-up email with some information and invite them to a tour. So lots of different things. I think we're on the same page.
Yep, you are. Yep, you're good.
Okay.
Is the open house going to be a joint open house like last time?
I've discussed it with the other administrator that we would share an open house. I have not yet confirmed a date with him or their participation, but we're going to go ahead with one because we want it to be immediately following that school choice fair.
Are you going to do haircuts again? Are you
sorry?
going to do haircuts again?
I don't know.
Because I can't remember who told me, but that was a hit. Like, here's a line for haircuts. Yeah.
There was. I did notice a couple of high school students. The haircuts were far more attended by the younger folks.
Got it. Okay. All right.
When we talked about the open house, we also had talked, Denise and I have already talked about maybe having the drone cage set up on the soccer field and having the drones flying, or people could maybe come over and try one.
Yes.
Yeah, that'd be
The popcorn machine, or we'll order some pizzas. I don't want to do the ice cream truck in January, but pizzas and things like that are a small cost. And if there's something that brings families into the building, I think the pizzas last year cost us like $100.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll plan plenty of things that would be of high interest. And then we'll have it on a Saturday for, I'm going to guess, somewhere like 11 to 2. Late enough that they don't have to get up and come. We can drop by when they're out and about. We're looking forward to a good event. And of course, we'll market that to the Renaissance 8th graders, as well as the contact list that we've been building from families that come in for a tour.
Okay.
Maybe they didn't enroll yet, but maybe if we reach out to them again, they'd like to. anyway, things are moving along there.
So
Uh,
I got a real quick question. If we can roll back real quick to recruitment and enrollment.
sure.
So, within, you mentioned that we're at 144 and we're at 144 last year. And where were we at the previous year? Do you know?
Not off the top of, yes. No, FY 24, I've got it up on my board, Anthony. FY 24, there was no official 40-day count because of the
Okay,
switch over to Nova. At 80-day in FY 24, we were at 143. In FY 25 at 80-day, we were at 145, and that's in December.
okay,
So again, it's just holding steady.
okay. Yeah, that's kind of like I haven't said anything. That's kind of a concern, because the point was is we're supposed to be growing. Um, and you know, McKee has given us a lot of good numbers. Um, but it's been a year and we don't have any results. We're still at the same spot. Um, you know, I know if anybody that was working for me that was I kind of, and I paid them a lot of money to do something and there's no results for it. How much longer do we stay with McKee before we start looking for someone else that might be able to give us results? Because right now we don't have any results. We still have the same number of students as we did the year that we started with them. I mean, I don't know if that's not concerning anybody else, and if it's not concerning anybody else, if they can tell me why it's not concerning them, but
I,
it's concerning me.
well, I would say that the numbers have been a concern for several years, and that I feel like the big investment has already been done with McKee, and that they've done a good job helping rebrand the school and things. And so if that's not bringing anything additional students in, I mean, maybe we would be losing more students. It just seems like they had a more complete package and they've done a good job. And hopefully those will, I
No,
don't know
no,
what
don't,
more,
yeah,
but
don't
I
get me
don't know
wrong.
what more we could do.
It,
Yeah, they've done a good job of the rebranding with the school and but the kind of the important key to all of this was to grow the number of students to increase the enrollment. That was that's kind of the key is, for the school to stay in a forward, moving up and going up, we need more students, you know. We kind of thought we would, be at least 20 more students kind of by now. But, we're staying flat. So, I mean, we gotta kind of got to look at it and stand back and look at it and say, okay, where's this, where's this failing? Why aren't we, we've got all these leads, we've got all these looks, we've got all these people going to the site. Why are we not, why can't we get over that hump to, and maybe that's a question for McKee, hey, the board is, got questions about this because, you know, we're at the same place as we were before. We haven't gotten over the hump. What do we really need to do to get over the hump? You know,
Anthony, I can tell you, I certainly share the enrollment concern. Um, a different, another point to look at is that Mickey and I actually just talked about this, and our initial goal for this school year, for this fall, when we started the paid uh, Google ads and things in March, was to enroll 47 new students. And 47 was replacing the seniors and adding some students. Now, so the goal was 47. We've actually enrolled 55. So we got above the initial goal that we had. The problem is that we lost others that we didn't plan, we didn't factor that in. We never keep every student year for year. Our recurrent enrollment is strong, but we lose them for a variety of reasons. Some of them move, and I can name 3 off the top of my head that moved out of state. Others leave for various reasons. So I don't know. It feels like we are making traction when the goal was 47 and we enrolled more than that. It's just we lost more than we anticipated too.
Yeah,
I can tell you that actually next on my report was that I also met with Mitch, and
okay.
I met with them about a marketing plan that they offer.
Mitch, what is that?
It's a school rating site.
Okay, okay.
And I've met with them before actually, but I met with them again and reviewed our current results. And every time I've met with a different marketing or enrollment company, which I've reported about a few of them over the last year,
Yeah.
they confirm the strategies that we're already using. And when I met with Mitch, like, well, what are you doing? I said, okay, we're doing this, this, this. And they said, those are all the things that we would recommend. And as I looked at their program and compared results for other schools they have in the city, it didn't justify a paid program with them, didn't justify the cost. I didn't see that that was being an added benefit. But I agree that at some point we're going to have to decide do we want to continue with McKee or not? They are not the cheapest marketing agency. But we've also I personally have had some concerns about the brand being muddied. You know, we invested so much in the new branding that if we shifted that messaging to a new marketing company, is the branding going to get lost? Is the messaging going to change?
Mhm.
They manage the website as well. So there are a few factors to consider. I'm not saying it might not be time to look, but there are a
Yeah.
few things to consider there.
Yeah, no, I understand because we're in with them kind of deep, but at the same time, there's I know there's but before there was some anticipation of some people leaving, you know. So I'm just saying it doesn't make sense that we're doing and maybe it's just the climate, maybe it's the market, maybe it's the area. I'm not sure. But for all these people looking to come in, it just seems odd that we have that many more leaving that we still stay at the same level of people. If we're having that many more people coming and looking and that many more people, looking at these sites and logging on like they're saying, why aren't we growing? You
Yeah,
know,
how
it,
is it even possible that we're just always
yeah,
gaining one and losing one, gaining two and losing two? Yeah, I think Lisa reports that every single time. Um,
yeah.
I do.
and I
And
Yeah.
definitely think, it's been a
Yeah, is it something we need to look on the inside? Is the reason are we losing too many because of something that's going on the inside? And is our retention rate something we need to focus on also? Um, or so that we can keep them and we can grow at the same time.
a good point. Yeah.
That's it just or is it just going to be something that's inevitable that people are just I know people are going to leave. I know that's inevitable, but you know, it's just tough to think that we had we were going to our goal was these 47 people and 47 left, and that we're still at the same spot. It's just I'm trying to grasp onto it why we're not growing.
just because I want to clarify, 47 didn't leave. 30 something of them graduated.
Oh,
And
graduated. But we
yeah,
knew that was
but
gonna
then, yeah, but
but we
then
knew that was
14
gonna
of them.
happen. Yeah, so that wasn't it. If 37 was gonna graduate, we knew they were gonna graduate. I'm not sure why we put them including that in the goal of the set of new students that we wanted because we knew they were gonna leave anyways.
Well, we know
That's
that
why
we need to fill their ninth grade spots, right? It's just every
Yeah,
year Lisa has to have that goal and it
no,
can't be overlooked or we will decline.
yeah, no, I understand that, that's the goal, but we knew that we were gonna have 30, so really our goal was only
10,
17 new students,
10,
beyond what graduated.
10, because it was 37 graduated, 47 was a goal. So we put 10 new students. So in theory, the number should have been 154 instead of 144. But we got 55 instead of 47. So we got 8 more, which meant 18 left. Or else we would have been up 18. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
See? Yeah.
so, and if we have, there were actually, I think it was 32 or 33 seniors, and I can't remember right now. But if there were, let's say there were 32 seniors, and so we needed to add, we had 15 above that we were
Above
looking to enroll.
Okay.
But since we're staying static, we enrolled the new ones. So if we lost 14 students, that's about 10%, which gives us a 90% retention rate, which is actually pretty strong.
Oh, really?
Well, it's just that our class size is so small, right? If you're or our school size, right? If you were looking at a you know, any APS school, if they have a 90% retention rate, like I think that's good. But I guess I'm not an expert on retention either.
Well, our overall retention rate, that's published in the preliminary performance report that we went over last month, is 80%. And so I'm just doing rough math to say, okay, well, if we lost 14 students, that's about 10%, which would be a 90% retention rate. And that's meets standards according to the state. I'm not belittling Anthony's points at all. It is still something to look at, but you know, the Cognia results showed that our families are largely satisfied. Strong results in the supportive culture. I can report anecdotally on the feel around campus, and it feels nice to be here. I think we're friendly, we're supportive. We're doing everything we can to build a strong experience when they're here. Because again, if they have I believe that if they have a strong experience, if the families are happy, if the kids are happy, then they're going to go out and talk about it.
Yeah.
And they're going to be more likely to return.
I
And
do think with our hybrid model, it's just not for everyone. And I just strongly believe that some people want 100% online, some people want 100% in person. And you know, we're sort of a niche
Mhm.
school.
Yeah, and maybe that's, and maybe that's and that's the case, and maybe that's what holds us at 144, that, is that's what we're gonna always kind of be at, because we're that niche. We may not be able to grow it just because our demographic is uh is smaller than other schools. And that's kind of our, and that's our strong point, but it's kind of our weak point at the same time to let us to grow. But yeah, if 144 will keep us going, then that's fine. But my concern is that, you know it's, the kind of the point is to grow.
I think you know, at a say a $300,000 deficit, which is what we had last year. And that still our plan this year, right? Yeah. Um, there's only so many more years that we can do that, right? And if we get much busier and have a larger student body, then we do need to hire an assistant principal again, right? And so you know, that we're looking at once we add more and break even, then we need to expend more, and then we'll need to add more students even to break even. So, you know, I think when we aren't looking for status quo, right? We aren't just happy with status quo. We're trying to increase and trying to you know, get more students to what we think is a great school. And so, you know, I just think there's always a series of adjustments that can be made. And yeah, maybe staying with McKee long term isn't the right thing. Maybe they have a maintenance plan that we can switch to where they aren't as actively involved and they aren't charging as much. Or you know, maybe there's another company that's like poised and ready to take over without making wholesale changes, right? Who can just do the exact same thing, the maintenance that we require at a lesser cost than what McKee would. I don't know. But yeah, I'm super happy with um their analysis and their rebranding, you know, schema,
Oh,
and
yeah.
I think it's been great. I think, you know, of course we want to see improvements right away. Um, and I think that there's maybe a little bit of patience that we need to have. Oh, Debbie dropped off at 5:36. Maybe there's a little bit of patience that we need to have that we're not ready to have, and just I don't know. But I think it's definitely something that we should talk about often and make sure that we're doing the right thing. And other things? Are there other things that we could be doing? So, and I know I think Lisa works incredibly hard at that. Um, so
Well, thank you. I am very focused on enrollment because, right, we're okay, but for long-term sustainability, something will have to change.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I want to see the program grow as well. Um, all I can do, all we can continue to do right now is focus on building it strong from the inside out. And, you know, we're marketing. I did ask McKee before we signed this current contract about a performance-based contract. And they considered it at length and got back to me and said no. That we were really at a bare bones pricing structure according to what they could offer us. We can look at seeing if they'll reduce it, and we can look at changing companies. I did ask them to include this time an exit clause that we didn't have to sign for the full year. Well, we signed for the full year, but it has a 30-day exit clause so that we can cancel the contract at any time. So if we decide we want to change, we are not tied to it until June 30th.
okay, all right, good to know.
Let me check my text because I wonder if that's Debbie since she dropped off.
I lost
Her
connection.
Wi-Fi cut out and she's not able to get back in.
Okay, yeah, so we could just note that she left at 5:36, and if she comes back on, okay.
Let me ask her if she wants to call. I can put her on speaker if she would like to join, or if she needs to go deal with that. That's fine. Anything else we want to discuss about recruitment, or should I keep going? Oh, she's
There
back.
she is.
Maybe she's back. It looks like she's connecting.
Yeah. Well, it looks like I got connecting to audio.
Yeah.
So. Yeah.
No, that's all I had.
Okay. Then next is some school business.
Can you scroll like, cause
Yes, ma'am.
there we go. Okay. Thank you.
For school business, we had our CSI grad rate designation. We had the monitoring visit last week. I just got the report read this morning. no concerns. The visit was very positive. They had us rate the 20-some different systems, and then they identified 4 for us to focus on this year. And the 4 that we're focusing on are enrollment and transfer records processes, how we track and graduation credits and credit accumulation, progress monitoring and early warning systems, and attendance. So we've submitted evidence for what we already do for those things. And as I met with their team, it's structured to be very supportive and collaborative. It's not punitive or a gotcha. It's, hey, have you thought about this? Or you might try this. And together we
Excellent.
identify some next steps. And so those are the things that we're going to be focusing on. And I'm happy to go into as much more detail as you'd like.
And who are these people again? Well, I missed the front part.
This is the School Improvement and Transformation Monitoring Visit Team. And it's
They work for the state ed?
Yes. They
Okay.
work for Priority School Bureau, which is a division of the state of the PUD, and they are supporting schools that are in a designation status. And even though I fully expect us to exit designation when they calculate that later this month, we're eligible for the funding this year. And in order to continue with the funding, which I've already have an approved application, we have to be subject to the monitoring visits throughout the year.
Okay.
Debbie, does your video work?
No, ma'am.
Okay, all right. So yeah, we're supposed to be on
I keep
camera at all
trying
times, but I feel like this is an exception
Yeah.
because it doesn't
Well,
work right
I'm
now.
trying
Okay.
it, but it says that the host has stopped it.
Oh, hang on, that's because I do stop it in case we have members of the public. When you dropped, you lost your cohort status. Try again.
Okay.
Okay. Yay.
All
All
right.
right.
Sorry, I didn't block you on purpose. Okay, if there aren't any questions about the monitoring visit, I'll keep going.
Okay, keep going.
I did update the finance committee, but I wanted the rest of the board to know as well that the lunch service and breakfast service has been pretty well received by the kids. We are getting into a groove now where we're spending, thankfully, a little less time at it. And we are serving, depending on the day and the meal choice that day, between 12 and 20% of our student body, with 25% for lunch on pizza. And the pizza is pretty good. We get it direct from Papa John's. It's not that rectangular pizza that I had at the school cafeteria.
That we all grew up with.
Papa
Yeah.
John's pizza.
Okay.
So that's going pretty well. As was shared in the finance committee update, excuse me, we also just upgraded our staff devices based on our IT company's recommendation. We didn't have any spares. They were due for replacement. And we had a couple of staff members having some significant trouble with it. And with no spares, we went ahead and replaced them all, but it was eligible for SB9 funding. It did not have to come from operation. So that was good. And then last is the school is eligible for a PEC support grant. All schools are eligible. The PEC is offering to state authorized charter schools a grant of up to $10,000 for school improvement. It can be in any area that would improve academics, although they ask that you target it in anywhere that you were rated in a yellow or a red. We didn't have any areas that we were rated yellow or red, so that's excellent. As I met with the staff to identify what we would like to request for funding, they identified a need for some smaller engagement supports. And by engagement supports, I mean things that are going to make it easier for the kids to stay focused on what they're doing. So we are planning to submit our application for things like standing desk stations. You know, I have the riser here on mine where I can sit or stand. So we're going to order a bunch of standing desk stations, some movement options, which include things like under the desk bicycle pedals and kick bands where kids can move while they're working to help them stay
No.
focused.
I see how this is great, but I also see how this is crazy. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. But we already do standing stations and things like that. We're just stacking textbooks. And
Oh,
so we're looking at kick bands, just things that let kids move while they're seated and help them stay focused. Some additional fidgets and manipulatives, and also some math manipulatives for small groups, and some science lab materials where we can look at adding some in-person science labs to supplement the virtual labs that are part of the science curriculum. So that's what we plan to submit that grant for.
right.
Did you say those wobble chairs? They
We
seem to
already
really
have
like.
some of those.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Any questions for me?
Nope.
No,
It seems like you're getting a lot for 10K. That seems like a lot of stuff. So,
And actually, that's not quite 10K. The grant is up to 10K, and
ah,
we're probably hitting 6,500 to 7,000 with
okay.
what we'd like to purchase.
All right. Okay, does that conclude academic performance, Lisa? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
All
Oh,
right,
no,
governance.
may I backtrack that? I don't have the fancy graph for you yet because I just got the memo that I got it yesterday, but I didn't open it until today. And so I didn't have time to make one, but the embargo has been released on. So first of all, I would like to share with you this letter that just came from the secretary's office. And let me make that a little bigger for you. This is proficiency by grade level and program. So this is statewide. And for 2025, 11th graders throughout the state, 39% were proficient in literacy and 12% were proficient in math. And then for science, it combines grades 5, 8, and 11. And the science proficiency throughout the state was 35%. Now I will make a fancy graph for you next time because you know I'm very excited to share this with you. For science, Northpoint students were 65.91% proficient in science versus 35 for the state.
Oh,
And
wow.
literacy, the state was 39% average proficiency in just the 11th grade. And our proficiency was 56.82. And then in mathematics, the state is 12% in 11th grade. And our 11th graders last year were 22.73% proficient in math. And those are
That
also,
was last year, you said.
yes, ma'am,
Okay,
from the March 25 assessment.
okay.
And that is considerable growth for us, which I'll make the fancy graph for you next time because I know the numbers are hard verbally. But it's
Yeah.
significant growth in all three assessment areas.
That's great.
Great.
Naturally, we still wish they were like 80 or 90%, right? But
I was just gonna say, it's
Yeah.
nice that they're higher, but it's hard to
Yeah.
get excited about low 20s proficiency in math.
yeah. And I mean, I don't know if I knew what these tests meant back then, to the school. I still tried, but I can't say all students try. So, yeah.
And then that would conclude my report.
Okay, all right, thank you. Next, governance, the attendance improvement plan.
Okay.
Discussion and action.
The attendance improvement plan is new this year. They created a new rubric and a new formula and a new platform for it. And as you remember, as we reviewed the accreditation status earlier this fall, we were scored partially out of compliance for our attendance plan last year. And so I've gone through the new rubric and everything. And the short version here is we have 2 strategies identified in each of the 4 tiers of attendance. So first, let me back up. First of all, we did see some growth and an improvement in our absence rate. In 2025, our overall absence rate was 3.16%, which was an improvement from FY24, which was 6.93%. So we showed a significant improvement in the overall absence rate. And then in the chronic absence rate, that's students who are absent for more than 10% of classes. In FY24, the chronic absence rate was 24.31%. And in FY25, that was down to 8.23%. So significant growth there, which we're really pleased about. Strategies in Tier 1, which is universal for all students, we're focusing on family awareness and our PBIS, or Positive Behavioral Intervention System, to recognize on-time daily attendance for students. In Tier 2, and I'm just going to switch back here to the meeting, but in Tier 2, we have strategies are written notification to parents and personalized phone outreach, which will be tied to the monthly calls. In Tier 3, which are students that are missing between 10 and 19% of classes, that will be an attendance meeting with their sponsor teacher and an attendance contract are the strategies. And then in Tier 4, which are students that are missing 20% or more of classes, that's an attendance meeting with admin and weekly progress monitoring and potential referrals to CYFD. And those follow the guidelines for the Attendance for Success Act. I've gone through the rubric in detail, and I believe that we'll have strong ratings on the new plan and the new system, which I plan to submit. I just wanted to share it with you first and see if there was any feedback.
Debbie, you're muted if you were speaking to us. I saw your mouth moving.
Oh, I was just saying it sounds great.
Yeah,
So,
looks good.
where is this going? How is it being socialized? It's going in the student handbook as a section? What?
No, this is a plan that's required to submit to the state. An attendance plan is required every year, but this year they just changed the format of the plan and they changed the rubric for the plan. So it's just kind of new.
Okay. Okay. So again, how is this is this get passed out at the beginning of the year? Are we relying on our sponsor teachers to tell us? Or I guess I'm still confused. How do we, how are you going to tell somebody that if their kid misses school, you're calling CYFD if they miss more than 20%?
Well, that's on Tier 3, right? There's a whole bunch of steps before you get to that. Yeah, I was calculating what tier we're personally in here as well. But
let me explain it a little bit better, Lisa. Tier 1 is universal whole school intervention. So what do you do for everyone at the whole school level to promote attendance? For us, that includes the PBIS system that we've started rewarding kids for on-time daily attendance and family awareness. We are developing the language. Families already receive same-day notification of absences. So if your student's absent, you should get an email notifying you. And we're developing the language that we want to share out on that to alert families, hey, your kid really does need to be here. We do find that the root cause of missed attendance for our school is the hybrid program, actually, and a lack of understanding about the importance of in-person attendance. We get a very high number of absence reports that say, oh, well, so-and-so is sick today, but he's going to work from home. And families figure that as long as they're working from home because they have access, that they're not really absent. And the state doesn't consider it that way. So Tier 1 is just, what is the school going to do to make sure all families are aware? Tier 2 is if your student is missing between 5% and 9% of classes. And if they are, then your family is going to receive a written notice in the mail that describes that and says, hey, your kid's missing a lot of school, and this is why it's important for you to come to school. And then your family will also get their attendance added to the personal phone outreach that happens from sponsor teachers. Then in Tier 3, if your student misses between 10 and 19%, you're going to get another letter and you're going to be required to come in for an attendance meeting with your sponsor teacher. And during that meeting, they'll review academics. They will talk about potential barriers to attendance? Do you have a schedule conflict that we can adjust? How can we make it easier for you to be at school? They might talk about if there's a transportation issue. Is there a bullying issue going on that's causing your child to not want to come to school? All of those things will be discussed and an attendance contract will be created. And then at tier 4, if your student is missing more than 20% of classes, then another attendance meeting will happen. You get written notification and an attendance meeting with admin and the sponsor teacher. So with myself or sometimes with Ms. Dixon and your sponsor teacher. And another attendance contract and some higher stakes things. It comes with some weekly progress monitoring, and families then are warned that continued absences can result in a required referral to CYFB. So it's not something that we communicate in full to all families. It's all in the student handbook already for what the attendance tiers are, but you'll only be notified if your student falls into that particular tier.
Got it.
Did that
All
help?
right. Yeah, you know my personal philosophy on this, right? And I know that we're, I know that we're, you know, beholden to the state requirements. But for your guys' edification, I have a son that has in a regular APS, perfect straight A's, and if you're sick early in the year, you hit the 5% because very quickly with like 2 or 3 days, and he got sick and was out, and I got nasty grams until we were in school long enough that he missed, you know, that he made up the 5%. And I said, this is really stupid because he has straight A's, right? And including 0 period, right? And so I'm like, can't you guys just do one more check? And so I sort of feel the same way here, right? If you've got a kid that's still staying up, is, you know, you click into and they're all A's and they're, you know, 10% above where they're supposed to be, you know, in terms of progress, their grades are all B's and A's, you know, why are we even bothering anybody, right?
Yeah, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but we actually do cross-reference our attendance list with Edgenuity progress, because if students are on track and with passing grades, we exclude them from the attendance intervention.
Okay, perfect. Okay, excellent. That's, yes.
And then how does this work if a student turns 18? You don't then talk with the parent, right? You communicate with the student.
We still talk with the parent as they're listed. So a parent would certainly be invited, but it wouldn't be absolutely necessary. But we still continue to invite parents as long as they're listed.
Okay. I guess I hadn't received a couple of the last sponsor teacher emails, and I was assuming that it was because Anthony turned 18.
No, you should still be receiving those. So
I guess October 3rd was my last one, but maybe
October 3rd?
Yeah, maybe she was sick. Yeah.
They actually probably didn't go out last week because of fall break.
Oh, good call. Thank you. Yes. It's hard for me to figure out what happened just because he turned 18 and what is an anomaly in other ways. Okay, that makes sense.
Families are not required at an IEP once the student turns 18, but we still routinely send progress information and attendance information to families regardless of a student's age, unless there's a specific reason not to.
Good. All right, thanks.
So, any questions about the attendance for improvement plan?
No, I think it's great. I see the point where, yeah, if you have all A's, why bother? But yeah, as long as you guys are cross-checking, and we want to keep you guys out of hot water with regulations. So yeah, I think it's great. Does anyone have any questions? Okay. Can I get a motion to approve the attendance improvement plan as provided?
This is Anthony. I make a motion to approve the attendance improvement plan as it's provided.
Thank you. And a second?
Debbie Jensen, I'll second it.
All right, great. And a vote?
And this is a vote to approve the attendance improvement plan as presented and discussed. Debbie Jensen,
Aye.
Anthony Padilla,
Aye.
Eileen Johnson,
Aye.
Lisa Berenberg, aye.
All right, student handbook updates, academic and activity letter policy.
These were included in the packet that went out to you last week.
Mhm.
It's identifying and just clearly laying out the policy for our academic letters, which we did actually hand out last week. Students had to be on the honor roll for both semesters last year in order to qualify for the very first Northpoint academic letters. So that was very exciting. We've also written out a policy where we can award athletic and event letters as well. These are mirrored off of APS policies, and these will be included in the student handbook just to clarify what it takes to earn an academic or athletic letter.
Okay.
I have
And
one
water?
I have
Oh.
one comment. I have one comment. Okay, academic letter policy was fine. Athletic event, I don't know if you want to bring it up. I'm looking at mine. Athletic event policy was good. But then when we go down to the STEM team letter, it all mirrored, say, the athletic letter until you got to the second to the last bullet. So scroll down. Second to the last bullet says, be of good character and be a positive force contributing to the team's success. This is highly subjective, and there is nothing in the athletic one that says the same thing, and it seems like it's a little unfair. I just feel like you set the bar a little bit higher for the STEM team than you did for the basketball team. So I don't know. I just wondered where that came from. You just noted that these are guidelines from PED again. I just that it's, and again, mostly it's subjective. It's not, I mean, it's subjective. It's not measurable. Like all the others are measurable, right? Now the GPA was also a little bit annoying. This one just says must adhere. Let's see. This one just says academic eligibility equates to being on track for credit in all enrolled classes. Whereas in the athletic one, it says a 2.0 GPA, like it's very, very specific. So again, a little bit of a difference. Didn't understand why they were there. That one at least is on track. You can measure on track, but I just don't know how you measure. And there's no one that equates to that in either of the other two. So anyway, I just wanted to open that up. I'm not going to obviously not approve this, but I just felt like that was weird.
Okay. I can't explain the GPA. The minimum 2.0 GPA for athletic eligibility is an NCAA requirement. And so that's semester prior, and you have to have that.
Yeah.
And for I think I said NCAA, I meant NMAA.
NMAA, yes. Okay.
Yeah. For the STEM team, that happens in the middle of the semester. And so we don't exclude students based on the previous semester grade like you are required to for NMAA. And so that's the reason for the change in being on track on classes.
Yeah. Okay.
So that you can participate. And the character one, you're right, it doesn't say that.
Well, and even adhere to team rules. I mean, it says participate or attend at least 70% of games. Or, like it says 70% of team meetings, like it doesn't say, oh, it does say 70% of practices.
Yeah, no, we had the same. That's why I said it was pretty parallel until you got to that one that said be a good character. And I'm good. I agree, right? If somebody's bullying or somebody's, making inappropriate comments during the STEM, or if somebody's pushing somebody else out, whether they're on grade, I'm a senior, so I should be able to do this stuff, right? That's not good character. I understand completely why you'd want to do it, but it just isn't in line with, you seem to have set the bar higher for STEM than you did for.
I would be more likely to add that to the athletic one than to remove
That's
it
actually
from both.
what I would say. I would take that and add it, and then say something like, like up here, In the athletic one, I thought it was really good that it said athletes out due to injury may still earn their letter at the coach's discretion based on their, so if they're still there, if they're weightlifting on the part of them that's not injured, right? He's like, hey, they're still involved, you know, they're carrying water, they're showing up for every game or whatever. I agree with that. And so maybe mirror that kind of thing, right? Like at the, I don't know what it's called, it's not a coach, but sponsor, must, I don't know. It just, I didn't like the way the wording was. Be of good character and positive. I don't know.
Okay, I'll throw out a possible suggestion. What if we were to take both this must adhere to all team rules and the be of good character and add those to the athletic one, and we could add a clarifier. Well, but that puts it all on one person. I was going to say
it does.
add a clarifier that at the coach's discretion, but then you're putting it on one person.
I would just say the exact same thing in both places, I guess, for those two sentences.
Does everyone else feel about that?
Yeah, you're saying just move the be good character and positive contribution to the team, move it up into the sports also.
Copy.
Well, that you would adhere to team rules and regulations. What if we copied both of those and added them to the athletic letter policy?
Yeah.
Also, the formatting is a little bit different, but I wasn't going to say anything about it because I don't want to make you rewrite it.
Yeah.
Well, I can actually tell you why. It's because they were written by different people.
Okay.
And we just merged them together. But would you be comfortable with this if we were to add those two lines to the athletics and make minor formatting changes so that it aligns a little closer?
Yep.
Yes.
Yep. Looks like we all nod in agreement. Yes, please. Okay. All right. So back to the agenda for the motion. Could I have, oh, we didn't do the water safety policy one yet. Okay, let's look at that one.
Water safety is as was presented last time in the annual compliance. Learned that we needed a water safety guide that I wasn't aware of, and started July 1st of this year. This is a policy that was shared by one of the legal members of Public Charter Schools of New Mexico, and had just a few things edited out that were geared more towards younger students. And so this policy was provided by them. The point of the policy is just to inform parents about water safety and how to keep children safe around water and where they can find swimming lessons and other relevant water safety guidance. So it's a new statute that's required, and this is the proposed policy. We would need to add this into our student handbook, and that's acceptable because families sign off that they've received the student handbook every year. For this current school year, because they've already signed off on the handbook, once approved, this policy will just be sent out probably as a PDF and email to all families so that they have access to the water safety guidance.
Okay.
So I have a comment. Sorry. Shows I read this stuff. No, it's I'm shocked that this was written by a lawyer because in the section essential water safety tips for parents, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, fifth one down, fence your pool. If you have a home pool, install a 4-sided fence at least 4 feet high and with a self-closing and self-latching gate. Okay, we have a pool at our house and we were told it was 5.5 feet. And ours was built in 1980 when it was 5 feet. And it turns out the only way we squeaked through and didn't have to add more was because we're double walled. So we have all the way around our entire property is a cement wall. And then I've got a 5-foot fence. So I was shocked to see that it was 4 feet. So, or 4.5, 4 feet high, because that's not what we were told. What we were told was Bernalillo County is 5.5 feet. So but like I said, if this was written by a lawyer and you're covered, but more power to you. But we were told the requirement is 5.5 feet, and the only reason we got away with a 5-foot fence, around ours, was because we were a double wall, 5 feet on the outside and 5 feet on the inside. Which, by the way, 3-4-year-olds can still climb over a 5-foot fence. 'Cause mine did.
I
Yeah.
have to say, Lisa, I cannot believe you know that.
Yeah, that's the only reason I know it. Because it almost held up. Like it was done by our home inspector. My husband's a lawyer. He went and looked. He's like, oh my God. We talked to our insurance company, and then we ended up. So that's why it stuck out at me, was because 12 years ago there was a big little brouhaha about before we bought our house. Because our fence was only 5 feet. And so I was really shocked to see a 4-foot fence, because that's like, anyway. So I don't know where this came from, but if it is what it is, believe me.
It probably it probably comes from the IBS, or the International Building Code. The International Building Code says it has to be a minimum of 4 feet. So it just depends on what area adopts which code.
What code? Yes.
Yeah. So, like, for example, if the person lives in Rio Rancho, it may only be 4 feet. But if the
may
person
only
lives in
be
Bernalillo
4 feet.
County, it might be 5 feet. If the
Right.
person lives in, the village of Los Ranchos, it might have their own rule that it
Yep.
might be only, it might be 4.5.
Right.
It just depends on which area. They probably put 4 foot because that's the minimum. That's the minimum requirement.
To a standard. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I like I said, I don't even understand why this is. I already told you last time. Anyway, whatever. Anyway, I just, anyway, all I know is that in Bernalillo County, it's 5.5 feet.
How would you like to proceed?
That's what I said. I'm not going to hold this up. If this was written by a lawyer, I am not stomping on a lawyer's toes. If this was approved by a lawyer or recommended by PED, go for it.
Where did you copy this from?
It was provided by one of the lawyers that works with public charter schools of New Mexico. It was not directly from our attorney, but I know Mr. Hill also works with Ms. Fox. They're not the same legal group, but he provided, this was a discussion at the charter schools weekly collaborative call, and Mr. Hill provided this policy that was written for another school and shared it with everyone present at the group. This is why reinvent the wheel and start from scratch.
Right. And that's what, if everybody else is using it, my view is just use it. Right. I don't think.
Does it say anything? Does it say anything at the bottom as far as like, these are the rules we think are best for you, but follow your laws?
Oh, see, that would be really good. Because there's another one, which is the lifeguard. The life jacket one. We're driving in.
Right.
Can't listen to
satellite. Yeah, like we're not, nobody can say that we're not agreeing with Albuquerque policy or anything, but
actually, that's a really good idea, because like life jacket, it says you should wear a life jacket. Well, it turns out, according to New Mexico State, every child under the age of 12 that's on the water must, by law, wear a life jacket. We don't say that. We say, hey, it's a really good idea to wear a life jacket. New Mexico
please
State
refer to your city or county regulations for any. I just don't want them to think that I don't want them to look at this and be like, well, I read it somewhere that my fence had to only be 4 feet tall. And so I did that, and then.
Yeah.
So a statement at the end there that says refer to your local city, county regulations.
City or county
for
water.
I would do all three. I would do
city, county,
state, city, county.
Yep.
For applicable laws and regulations.
Yep.
Code requirements.
Yep.
So I'll add to the end there. Please refer to your local state, city, county regulations for specific code requirements. And I had regulations again. I don't like that. For specific code requirements and rules.
Rules.
Maybe just codes and regulations.
Refer to your local state, city, county for specific code requirements and regulations.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
I would say city, county, state in that order. So it's not like smallest to
City,
biggest.
state.
Yeah.
For specific code requirements and regulations.
Mhm.
Yes.
Got it.
Okay. Then I think since the lawyer gave it to us, and other people are using it, and we add that sentence at the end, I'm good with
Yes.
passing those two things, or with.
Yep.
Okay. All
Yep,
right. Could I please have a motion to approve the student handbook updates as discussed and presented?
This is Anthony. I make a motion to approve the student handbook updates as we discussed.
Thank you. And a second,
This is Deborah Johnson. I'll second.
and a vote.
So this is a vote to approve the student handbook updates as discussed and modified during the discussions. Debbie Jensen,
Aye.
Anthony Padilla,
Aye.
Eileen Johnson,
Aye.
and Lisa Berenberg. Aye.
All right. Academic committee update.
I know we're running way behind schedule. So, but I do have a presentation, but I'm only going to show you guys 2 of them.
Okay.
Let me close this.
Let me stop sharing so you can. Yep.
Okay. No. Okay. No. Okay. All righty. Oh, this is Zoom. We use Teams, so I have to, everything's in a different spot. Share screen. Entire screen. Share. Okay. All right. Now I know you guys see you guys, but let me bring this up. Okay. Can you guys see this?
Yes.
You need to see my crowded. Let me put it in presentation. Okay. So Lisa and I met on Thursday, 25th of September. And we chatted about a lot of stuff. I'm not going to show you these. These are my working ones. Okay, I'm going to go to the summary. Okay, so I had a hypothesis that student scores would increase over the course of the year, and this hypothesis was disproven. And we had, Lisa and I had a long conversation about how kids, have good days and bad days, and that you want to test them, at the beginning of year, middle of year, and end of year. And I was like, no, beginning of year, they should be lower and they should improve over the end. That does not at all what happened. In reading, high scores were essentially evenly split. So look at this one right here. High scores were essentially evenly split between beginning of year, middle of year, and end of year for reading. In math, it was a little bit more skewed, but not enough, I don't think, to be statistically significant, where beginning of year you had 41% of the people hit their high, and end of year you had 26%. But again, there is nothing here that would claim that kids at all went back and forth. So that was my first hypothesis. My second hypothesis, when I saw how low 1 percentile, right? The 9th percentile. And I was like, what is going on? How does somebody even get to a 1 percentile? And so I turned out after she gave me an Excel spreadsheet with, no lie, like 30 tabs on it, right? I ended up looking at one of the tabs and I was like, oh, look, it has time spent on the test. And so this was the coolest one, I thought. And so this is time spent on test. I look for a correlation. I don't know if you guys know any of this, but anyway, if you ever get a chance to take a statistics class, it's a blast. Anyway, it is a lot of fun. Anyway, you can agree with me, Eileen, because you should have taken a statistics class. So
Yeah.
it was a really soft correlation. And oh, by the way, Excel does all this for you, right? It was a super soft correlation. This is barely correlation, right? However, because my thought was, oh, people that spend a low amount of time are always going to be in this box, which is it's the does not meet. But you can see there were kids, look at over here. There are kids in the 90s that were spending 35 minutes. So they either have nailed this test, or good test takers, or something. Now, obviously, the people who spent huge amounts of time also was rewarded with high scores. But then you see some people here, in fact, almost everybody that spent a huge amount of time ended up with a very high score, right? I mean, I'm talking over 100 minutes, right? All of these people ended up with a meets or exceeds. So spending time on it does pay off. But all I'm saying is not everybody that spends time, is, because look at all of this group of people down here that are exceeding and spent very little amounts of time. This is 40 minutes right here. This line is 40 minutes. So you had kids,
Right.
between 40 minutes and 60 minutes, and they were still, killing the test within the 90th percentile. So time is not. You had people that were failing that were still taking over an hour, right? But almost universally, if you were seeing a 1, right, or a 5, right, percentile, they were probably not treating the test the way you should. Because that was the other thing that Lisa and I talked about. She did most of the education for me. Was that emphasizing the importance of this test is really still very, very crucial. And I think that is the other thing that we have to think about. And then in summary, NCS is doing pretty good. In math, okay, we're approaching 70% of students in 10th through 12th grade meets it exceeds 55% for 9th graders. In reading, I didn't have enough time. Sorry, I ran out of time to do the grade breakouts in the reading, but 69% of the school-wide meets or exceeds. And so in reading, I just treated everybody the same. So here's your exceeds, here's your meets, and you can see that that's almost 70% of your pie working to meet, and you only have about 8% that does not meet. And so then I started with the math, and in math I was messing around trying to find different ways of doing things, and you can see, I just broke it out. 9th graders were the worst, by the way. I don't know if it's because we get them in, or because they're not used to taking NWEA, or what, but their performance is abysmal. But then it goes up, and then you're like, oh, look at 10th grade, this is fantastic, right? We're down to 15.4. But then when I plotted it, and then everybody dropped, right? 11th grade and then 12th grade. I don't know what's going on in 12th grade. And so the point is it doesn't really there's, I don't know what I should do about this. However, I did go onto the NWEA website and I got their user's guide, and it has some really, really interesting things, which I was also planning to present, but we're way behind and I didn't get them into this presentation. But if you ever think about doing it. Now, while I was thinking about this, during a really boring meeting I had earlier today, one of the things that I thought that came to mind was, I wrote it down. I thought I wrote it down. Was, does the school, right? The whole point of this was to try to figure out if there is something that we should be advertising of a benefit that a student might get to come to Northpoint, right? And I don't think we can actually say anything. And I think that the numbers that were presented earlier today were probably the better ones, which is the statewide numbers, right? That we are above the state averages. Whether we're far enough above the state averages to make it appealing is a little unclear. But especially with the math, 22%. Yes, we're above 12, but 12 is bad, right? 22% is not good, right?
Right.
So it's a little unclear. We want to use it as a marketing thing. But the second thing we talked about was how do we impart the importance of this testing on our kids? And so one thing I was wondering was, and there was a whole bunch of other things I could have done, but I ran out of time. One of them being, if a kid gets to in the 90s, just looking across the data, but not actually doing a distribution, almost always they hit 9. And if they were in the 90s, they were in the 90s all 3 times: beginning of year, end of year, middle of year. Okay. And so, but then there were some kids that were like 60 beginning of year, and then they were 20 middle of year, right? And so there was a really huge standard deviation in some of the kids. And so this is really a question, because I don't know enough about the grading to know whether grading, meaning our grading. If a kid gets 90 something percent and hits the exceed, and in fact, exceed is 76 to 99%. So, and they're like, check, they passed. Is there a way that we could give them a reward by not having them do the other tests? Like, do you have to always do the improvement number if they're in the exceeds category? Because maybe there's some incentive where they're like, you get a free day off if you don't have to test again, or some incentive for getting into the 76 to 99th percentile exceeds. I don't know, because again, I don't know the scoring. I know that there's a scoring that is your absolute percentile, and then there's a scoring of, did you meet your growth goal? But it's an either or, I believe, in our scoring. I think, about the way I remember it correctly, you either exceed or you met your growth goal. Because, by the way, this test is really stupid, because if you're in the 90s, you almost can't meet your growth goal, because, right, 96, that means you got to make like a 99, right? If you're a 99, you have no growth goal, right? Because there is no growth to go. You can't get
Except that would the test change every year? No, it wouldn't.
No,
Right?
in fact, yeah,
Same people, same test for 9th and 11th, right?
I think
Yes,
so.
but it's adaptive. And so it's an adaptive test. So the questions change depending on how the students perform. And Lisa, no, we cannot exempt them from the next test because it's tied to our performance framework. But we could provide other incentives, like here's a free pass for, to get 100 on a quiz within the subject of your choice, or give them an edgenuity related incentive. But we do have to make them test since it's tied to our performance framework.
Okay.
Well, and I like that you started, is this the one that you start doing pizzas for? Is it a pizza day that day?
We did pizza one day last year. We actually didn't do pizza. We always do popcorn. So we do popcorn, and we made it a test day in order to impart the importance of the test. That's the only thing they do on that day. So there's no rushing through because I want to do something else. It's the only thing they're allowed to do.
Right.
And we don't have traditional classes that day. It's only NWEA. But I think offering, students are recognized for their score with a certificate during the awards assembly, and they're also recognized if they meet their growth goal. But we could consider adding an incentive that if you score proficient or advanced, you get X. A quiz pass was what just came to mind first, but I could put that out to the staff and see what else they might like to offer.
Right. And then of course the cool part, do they know that once you hit, meets, exceeds, or, ideally we would set the bar at exceeds, not meets, because meets is 50%, right? 51% to 74%, right? And then, or 75%, and then exceeds is 76 to 99, right? I don't like meets at 50. I'd only do this for the 76 percenters, but do they fundamentally understand that once they hit that, then they can, I know you don't want them to, but in theory they could back off or whatever, that they don't have to take it. They should relax on, once they hit the exceeds thing, you should tell them that this is a relaxing practice test, right? Like, I'm just wondering if there's something we can do. But that's the top people, right? Which I always love telling the top people, hey, pat on the back, you guys did what you're supposed to do. But the people we need to intervene with, obviously, are these people, right? Right. And there's not a huge number. Let's look, well, except there's 6 of 31 ninth graders that did not meet, right, in math. And so you know, in theory, these are the people you should be grabbing by name and figuring out what's going on with them. Is it true knowledge or is it attitude?
They are assigned to intervention based
Okay.
on course. So they're entered into the MyPath interventions for reading, for math, based on their NWEA scores. And we had students say, well, I didn't even try on that test. And we're like, well, maybe you should try, because this is telling us that you really need a lot of intervention.
Yeah, student 23, right? Are they?
Yeah. That's a 1. Yeah, that's a 1.
Yeah.
And there are other measures built within the test. It's called the slow down sloth, and it stops them if the system detects rapid guessing, where it requires a proctor password. And if it happens a couple of times, we shut down their test. We say, you're going to have to take it again. Now you're going to have to just start over and take your time on it. So
yeah,
there
I
are
think
some
this
other
one was 19 minutes. This guy. So yeah, he was like, because this is the one that made me say, how do you get a 1? How do you get a 1 percentile? Right? I didn't even think, and I went, and then that's when I discovered, oh look, there's time for test, right, in one of the columns on the beginning of year to middle to end, that spreadsheet. And that's when I said, oh, let me do a plot and see if there's a correlation. So I was shocked that there wasn't as strong a correlation. I thought for sure there would be a really strong correlation, and there wasn't. So
I love your analysis, Lisa. Thank you.
okay, yeah. So anyway,
Yeah.
I thought it was pretty cool. So anyway, but
if you're looking at the I can't remember what you call it. You went to their website and you pulled their guidelines or their interpretation. If there are things that they're recommending based off of our scores, I would still love to hear them. So hopefully you're still like finishing looking at that or
yes,
trying to interpret. Okay.
yes, I am. Yes. So
Okay. Awesome.
It's a pretty cool organization, actually. I was pretty impressed with it. They write research papers, and they do a ton of, it's 13 million data points, and they just do an amazing. So I was really looking at the research papers, and what are they doing with all this data, right? It was pretty impressive, actually. I don't know if you've ever gone to it. And so that was the other thing. I didn't know if they do run classes. If you're ever looking for educate, maybe you already have staff that knows all this stuff. But I was really surprised. The website has different classes that you can take on how to use their data, how to interpret their data, and it was like they really dive into data analysis techniques. So anyway, if you're ever looking, like I said, Lisa, maybe you guys already take some of these classes, but if you're ever looking for staff growth, this might be a place to think about.
One thing we do, Ms. Berenberg, as part of our data coaching that we do with charter school testing, is do deep dives into the NWEA data. We also how it corresponds to the SAT. And the NWEA is more internal, it's for us. The SAT is what we're graded on as a school. So we look at what score on NWEA predicts proficiency on the SAT. We look at sample questions and how we can incorporate some of those into our instruction so that students have experience with them. we look at areas of strength and weakness and what we can do to shore up areas of weakness within our
Mhm.
school, and what can we add to our curriculum that would address those gaps. So maybe we look at it differently than what you were explaining. We
Yeah.
don't really take the classes on NWEA, but we do dive deeply into it.
And
Okay.
maybe if you provided Lisa with the same, with the SAT data, you know, with the student data masked in the same order, you know, like you have it. Obviously, you'd have some that took some one or the other and some that didn't, but that would be interesting if you could compare, like, you know, like one student, how they do on this and this, and
Mhm.
see if it actually does correlate.
It does. I will send you some of that, Lisa. We had
Okay.
predictions from the NWEA last year, and the cut score that we expect on NWEA to score proficient or advanced on the SAT, and
Mhm.
it was not 1-to-1, but it was
It was
highly accurate.
wow. Okay. Okay. Yeah.
Hmm.
So
All right, awesome. Thank you, Lisa B.
yes.
Okay, governing council development. So the conference is on December 11th and 12th. Is anyone signed up to go to that, Anthony?
Not signed up yet, but I will.
Okay.
Would like to.
Yes.
I have
I'm
to
still,
get a PO in place before anyone can register. So is there anyone else that would like to attend?
I think I would. I have to be in Denver on Tuesday and Wednesday of that week, but so one of the things would I haven't gone to the site to see like what time do they start on Thursday, and do you go through the whole thing or do you sign up like the one in June you signed up for specific slots of time and that counted as your training? Is that the same way or do you just go to the whole conference and that counts as some amount of training?
You would have to go to the specific sections
Okay.
that were made for GC credit. And I believe they had a QR code kind of sign in order to
Okay.
get credit for those specific conferences. The GC sessions, I don't have a full agenda yet, but I expect the GC sessions would be on the 11th. I know the 12th is focused on teacher training.
Oh, okay. So it would be the 11th.
I
would be
would,
the day.
I
Okay.
guess it would be the 11th, but I will see if they have a finalized agenda and I can get a PO in place for the two of you to attend.
Oh, we don't pay ourselves?
No, the school will pay for it.
Oh, okay.
And it's out at the Tamaya Resort.
Mhm.
Lunch is typically provided and it usually starts 8:30ish. I think breakfast is at 8 and the sessions begin at 8:30 and it probably goes until about 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
Okay.
It's very interesting. I know Anthony's been a couple of years. I usually go. I am not able to go this year. I'm going to be out of town. But I've always found it worth the investment, worth the time.
I don't think that the government will still be furloughed at that time, but if
I-
they
I-
are, I would love to go.
Hopefully the government
just
is
think-
not still furloughed by then.
I think I will be back to work and very busy. So yeah, so I don't think I can go. But
Then I will get a PO for Anthony and Lisa B.
Okay.
Attend that and I'll make sure to send you the information and the PO so that you can register once that's in place. And then Ms. Johnson, did I pull up the right screen? Can you guys see the training hours?
Mhm.
yes, yeah. I have 0, everybody else has 1. Okay,
I'm just
all
waiting
right.
for the asynchronous stuff.
Yeah, I need to actually, good point. I need to do that since I have time. I could probably attend some of these early day
Oh, yeah,
session
you can
ones.
do those. I just can't do those. The times are terrible, so I need to wait for that when they do the other.
Ms.
Yes.
Jensen, I did ask PCS about that and they're developing it. And so as soon as it's ready, we can get a PO for you and get you signed up for that.
Okay, I'll take a look and see if I can squeeze any of the others in, but anyway.
I'm making a note to myself to look at those. All right.
You know, I did just receive communication from public charter schools. They are planning an in-person governance council training session. But the information read that in order to get credit, you had to have all of your board members present for the entire session. And I didn't think that that would probably work.
All would be weird. I wonder if that was a typo. Because that's a weird ask.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, right? Okay, it'd be different if each board member had to be present for all the sessions. That makes sense.
Right.
And not that one. Okay. Says there is room for 2 more schools. It's Friday, November 14th from 12 until 4:30 p.m. It's a full in-person training session. It offers all 5 required hours of annual training. Full board attendance is required to receive credit hours. Training will be customized to each board's needs with an assigned coach. And boards will also collaborate and workshop with other schools for a shared learning and best practices.
Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense, the way they're doing it. Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
So-
can't, you're right, we can't do that.
Okay.
All right.
Talking
Any
about
annou-
board, talking about a board, do we know what's going on with the new board member? Are we still recruiting? Did that person that showed up that one day decide she didn't want to do it? I mean, should we be talking about that? Maybe not now, maybe we'll talk about that next next meeting, since we're so late already. But I just wanted to make sure I got out the fact that, what are we doing about the new board member?
She's not going to join.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Well,
we're still,
Um,
or 2.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then, oh, go ahead.
I apologize. I was going to ask the nominating committee, Ms. Johnson and Mr. Padilla, if you could stay on for just a minute at the conclusion of the meeting.
Sure. Yep. And then Lisa, you had said that there was going to be, I'm going into announcements, governing council member comments. You said that we're supposed to look for an email? From a
Yes,
survey
I added it to the agenda for
for
next.
next month? Okay, all right.
It says all board members, let me pull up the email rather than guess and read it incorrectly. Hold on a second.
So I guess this is an
indicators-
announcement, right? We're saying watch for this is what we're saying. Okay.
It was supposed to have already been sent, so you might check your email and see if it's there.
I haven't seen it, but
Who's it from?
Be from Bridget Russell, or it could come from the Charter School Division, the CSD email. It says that your governing board members will be receiving an email from Missy Brown regarding a PEC initiative called Indicators of Success. It is a survey, a self-assessment survey regarding the board that is voluntary this year as in the pilot year. It says it will be required in future years. And participation this year in the pilot year means the board may apply for a $10,000 support grant to support school and or board improvement. That's in addition to the support grant that I mentioned earlier. I will forward this email to all of you that has some information on the survey. And then I added it to the agenda for next
yeah.
month.
Okay. And then just watch for it is what we're saying. I didn't have it.
I don't have it.
Yeah. Okay. Any other announcements or comments? All right, the next regular meeting is November 19th, 2025 at 5 p.m. via Zoom, which is a week before Thanksgiving. So if you're wondering, oh shoot, isn't that the day before Thanksgiving? It's not, the whole week before Thanksgiving. And it is 6:44 and we are adjourned.